Here at Boeing Field in Seattle, and I wanted to show off a new scenery that I have here downloaded. I'll put the link in the description. This is one of my favorite places to be. I have a lot of memories here in Seattle, and one of the main reasons I got this scenery is for the Museum of Flight. So I'm going to walk you through. It's obviously not modeled all the aircraft and everything 100% perfectly, but it's pretty cool. So I flew in to Boeing Field last night with Front Range Air, my SimBuddy airline, from Henderson Executive Airport in Vegas. So I figured while I was here, before I take off and fly to Coeur d'Alene, where I'm going next, I would show you around the Museum of Flight. So this didn't used to be here. It used to just be across the street over there inside. But, oh gosh, a while ago now, I guess, they opened this across the street exhibit and put a lot of aircraft in here. So where I think they have an old Air Force One of the 707s, some really cool aircraft. So this isn't, like I said, it's not modeled 100% correctly. I think they have the Concorde, one of the Concordes over here in this section as well. But in terms of the structure, it's done really well. So in the scenery, we have an old 737 here, a 787, a 747 behind it, and of course Boeing is here, so there are a lot of Boeing aircraft. Got what appears to be an F5, and you'll see a couple of these on the inside too, that I think just represent fighters. They're not necessarily, like I said, actually what you would see there if you went there, but it's still really cool. Quite have the resolution to make out exactly what it is. This I really like, the A4, the Blue Angels. You notice when the Blue Angels used the A4, they didn't have the hump version, so there's no hump on the back of these. You can get a true scale for the size of 747, which I really like. VR really makes that pop. So this is just a general layout of that outside structure, and then there is a sky bridge that connects to the inside. This is a X-Plane 11 teleport feature, which I'm using through VR, which allows you to simulate walking around. I don't think that's the reason really it was created. I mean, I don't know, but I love landing at places and going and exploring the cities because the scenery in X-Plane 11 is just ridiculously good. And if you download additional sceneries like I've done, when you fly to those cities especially, it's really cool. So I knew when I was coming into Seattle, I was going to take some time to walk around and really get up close and personal with the sceneries that I got here. I got the airports and the cities one. And like I said, I'll put the link in the description if you're curious. Well worth the investment. So this is that sky bridge I was telling you about, how you can get from one side to the other that they have now. Because it didn't used to be over there, so that's just part of the new addition. But if you walk across the street, you can come inside and see a lot of what the Museum of Flight has to offer. This red barn building, I believe, is what they have a lot of World War II specific stuff in. Museum of Flight's one of my favorite air museums to be in. They've got so much educational material, a really great variety of aircraft, and some really cool aircraft as well. Sadly, that part isn't really modeled in here, but when I go inside the main hangar structure here, you'll see how well a lot of it really is modeled. I won't be able to actually climb the stairs, but I will, since I'm in VR, stand up so we can get above this step. But generally what we want to do is walk inside, so let's go in. Take a look at what's in here. A lot of cool stuff. Up here, they have a lot of NASA things on that third floor up there, and this part really is modeled really well. They have, at least they used to have a like mock-up of a several decades ago household watching Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. And they have a lot of great NASA stuff, which I think is really cool because not every museum really has that. You can wander through all those. They've got video screens and theaters and things with movies running all the time in there. It's a really good experience. They actually have a pretty cool way up there, back up there, somewhere in the middle. There's kind of a lookout tower that they have that you can see, the airfield and watch actual traffic go by, and you can listen in to the live tower. I always thought that was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun when I was a kid. They have all sorts of airliners and all sorts of things like that in here. Like I said, there's that F5 again that just kind of representing a fighter. You can see there's another copy of that Blue Angel over there. This is always my favorite part of coming here. The SR-71. I don't remember it having a drone. Could be wrong, but it's sitting low because this part is actually sunken in. And you can see the top half of an F4 that would also be on this sunken level, but I think this is just a restriction of X-plane. So he's done a good job to just put the top in there because that is how it would look. And if you're looking at this from the outside, that's all you'd be able to see anyway. There's an F-104 up there. This I remember is a piece you can go through of, looks like maybe a 727 or an MD-80 or something. You can just get a feel for what it looked like to be on the inside of that. I remember as a kid sitting in the front half of an F-18 that was right over here. You could sit in the cockpit. That was really cool to sit in and get hands on all the stuff and feel it. Couple fighters over here. They used to have, and I looked on Google Maps not too long ago, so they must have taken it down, but outside here, static, they had an F-14, I remember, and a couple other aircraft. I guess those are gone now. So this is probably modeled correctly. Can't really go up there, unfortunately, because the teleport is limited to being on the ground. But let's go back outside, whatever door, and walk around and look at the outside. There's one more thing I want to show you that is pretty cool. So this is where they used to have some static. I guess it's not part of it anymore. The scenery does a really good job. As we walk down, and we'll walk down after this to the other side and take a look at all the Boeing aircraft that are there being serviced and stuff like that. But this is really true to what actually is going on now at Boeing Field. These are Poseidons that Boeing's working on for the Navy. And that E3 that you see over there is almost always there. Just, it's a lock. You can, anytime you fly into Boeing Field, you'll see a big plane with the dish. They have an E3 there almost all the time. When the Blue Angels come to town for Seattle for Seafair, they do a show over Lake Washington. It's a remote show, and that's over somewhere else. I think it's over there. But they fly, when they're here, they line up right here. So this is the ground show portion. People who want to see the ground show can come here and watch them all, do their whole ground routine, and then they taxi right out and take off this way. There's also a place a lot of people gather on the other side of that runway just to watch the takeoff. In my opinion, it's a real shame to come here and just watch the takeoff, in the ground show, when Lake Washington is such a great place to go and see all the boats and the stuff they do over the bridge. It's really cool. But it is an option for people who want. So with that, I'm going to go get in my plane. I am parked on the general aviation side, which is way on the other side. And since I'm not going to run across the runway, I'm going to take the long way around. And while we're walking over there, we're going to take a look at some of that stuff I was talking about with the Boeing being down here. It's going to get a little sketchy a couple times as the sidewalk runs out. Here's the real tower. Where our walk has turned into more of a run as well. It's a long way around. Okay, you can see some aircraft with actual airline liveries parked over here. Those are being serviced. But you'll see a lot of different airlines, different tails, which I think is really cool. It's very accurately simulated. And if you go to Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever you want to take a look at it, you'll see exactly the same thing. It'll look just like that. I've actually made this walk. I took a bus down here one time when I was on vacation, and I got off the bus way too early. I didn't realize how far away I was. It's like somewhere down here, and I actually walked all the way down to the Museum of Flight. I can tell you it is a long walk. It was not particularly cool that time of year either, so I was happy to be inside the Museum of Flight for a number of reasons. The air conditioning as much as for the exhibits. All right, we're starting to round the end of the runway here. Move over to the general aviation side, where my citation is parked. That's what I'll be flying to Coeur d'Alene. Should be a 55-minute flight, and I'll do that after this in the part 2 of this video. So afterward, people who don't want to see me wandering around the airport can just watch the flight. There's also really good scenery for the city because I said I got the airports and the city. Haven't been downtown yet. Maybe the next time I'm in, I have a little more time, I'll go wander around downtown, look at the down by the wharf and everything. I guess it looks really cool. The Space Needle, all that. I just not gonna do that right now. Maybe I'll bring a 737 back to Seattle, fly into SeaTac and take a look at it then. I just wanted to take a look at Museum of Flight. That was the thing that sold me on the airports. And to somebody who hasn't spent a lot of time there, I know it's a couple statics and it's not that great, but I have so many memories there. It was just especially cool to see. All right. This is where my jet is parked. Something taking off there. That's my citation. The littlest jet on the whole ramp. One of these, probably Alan's jet. I don't know, remember exactly where his hangar is. This is Front Range Air, the custom livery. If you want to fly for me and you have X-Plane, I'll give you the livery and you can fly it. It's pretty fun. That is an actual picture of the Front Range here in Colorado. I don't live too far away from it. That's exactly what it looks like in the winter. So that's the whole point behind that. Pop over here and pack up. One of the many fine animations on the Coronado C550 Citation 2. Come over here, get ready to go. Continue this on part 2 next.